Welcome to We've Got a Country to Say, brought to you by my friends at InvestYrefy.com. Invest in America like I do. And by Freedom Chat. Freedom Chat has true end-to-end encryption, no storage of messages on the server, and no commercial use of user data. That way you can speak freely and message privately. Download the app today and subscribe to my Freedom Chat channel at Larry Elder for exclusive posts and never-before-seen content. We also thank Epoch Times, Old Glory Bank, Patriot Mobile, Century H2O, Blue Line Moving, and El Cholo. Please like and subscribe to our podcast. Make sure to follow or subscribe to my channel on whatever platform you are using, whether it's X, YouTube, Facebook, or Rumble. And be sure to patronize our sponsors. And if you don't patronize our sponsors, well...
A bail bondsman from Chicago as his running mate.
Political analysts say this may be too little, too late.
Hi, I'm with the Port Commission.
I'm from the Athlete's Foot Family.
Brother, hey, can you get my demo tape to somebody?
We know where you live.
Tonight, the day, a dim at the eight. Lay down the dress, I got the day.
A phone and a tea apart and say it there. A bell jar goes up, I am a little away.
Oh no, baby, gotta go. Yeah.
Oh, baby, gotta go.
I thought it was a real flex when the Wall Street Journal pointed out that I might have been the least wealthy person to ever run for vice president. And I thought that would be something people say, well, this guy knows where we're coming from. He's had to pay his bills. He had to do, and still does. We've got to figure it out. And I feel like one of my roles is going forward here is figuring out a way to make the case to the public, the American public, is that the Democratic Party really is focused on the things they care about. And in this case, they didn't, they thought and it might be true, not enough focus was put on inflation and the costs that those brought to people. Understanding that immigration and border control does matter to people, and it doesn't mean that you're cruel or you don't care. And I think that's something that, in the 90 days I was out there, we apparently didn't make that connection strongly enough, because it was middle-class folks in a lot of cases. Mm-hmm. It was folks that were less than a college degree. These are folks that are working dang hard. I've always said that the hardest jobs I've ever did paid me the least amount of money. So there were folks that weren't voting for us would be the very folks that I care that our policies impact. And that disconnect was obvious in the result.
What will Kamala do next? The good news is that she's flexible.
Kamala, she does different accents.
You better thank a union member for sick leave. You better thank a union.
Depending on where she is, down south. Let me tell you something. You boys better get it together here and vote. Save democracy.
And we're going to do it again in 2024.
Black community, she's like, let me tell you something, honey. Let me tell you right now, we ain't vote for Trump, I even saw her at a 7-Eleven going like, listen, it's very important that we vote for the Democrats. We're trying to save democracy here. We're trying to save democracy.
After Donald Trump's blowout victory, even CNN's Van Jones is bowing down.
How the hell did Donald Trump figure out the mainstream media is the fringe and the fringe is now the mainstream? How the hell did Donald Trump figure out? I mean, Joe Rogan is obvious, right? Like, we knew the guy had a big audience. It's not like we were like stunned, but like, how the hell was he, the 78-year-old guy who doesn't even have a computer and still like writes handwritten notes? How did he become the guy who cracked the code on, to your point, running a cultural, I don't even want to say campaign, running
it was a movement.
Look, heading a cultural movement versus a campaign.
Every one of your people knows Elon. Listen. So everybody keeps, the problem is you have a framework in your mind that, how can Donald Trump? Guys, can we cut it out? Donald Trump is not an idiot. Donald Trump, let me just be very clear. Donald Trump is smarter than me, you, and all critics.
That's quite a change for what Van Whitelash Jones said back in 2016 when Orange Man won the election.
People have talked about a miracle. I'm hearing about a nightmare. It's hard to be a parent tonight for a lot of us. You tell your kids, don't be a bully. You tell your kids, don't be a bigot. You tell your kids, do your homework. and be prepared. And then you have this outcome, and you have people putting children to bed tonight, and they're afraid of breakfast. They're afraid of, how do I explain this to my children? I have Muslim friends who are texting me tonight saying, should I leave the country? I have families of immigrants that are terrified tonight. This was many things. This was a rebellion against the elites. True, it was a complete reinvention of politics and polls, it's true. But it was also something else. We've talked about race. I mean, we've talked about everything but race tonight. We've talked about income. We've talked about class. We've talked about region. We haven't talked about race. This was a white lash. This was a white lash against a changing country. It was a white lash against a black president in part. And that's the part where the pain comes. And Donald Trump has a responsibility tonight to come out and reassure people that he is going to be the president of all the people who he insulted and offended and brushed aside. Yeah, when you say, you want to take your country back, you got a lot of people who feel that we're not represented well either. But we don't want to feel that someone has been elected by throwing away some of us to appeal more deeply to others. So this is a deeply painful moment tonight. I know it's not just about race. There's more going on than that. But race is here, too, and we got to talk about it.
And Van Jones even credits Trump for figuring out how to deal with the new media, the real mainstream media.
You know why we know? Because he has the White House, the Senate, the House.
Totally agree.
Court, the popular vote. He has a massive media ecosystem bigger than the mainstream built around him and for him, and a religious fervor in a political movement around him. And his best buddy is the richest person in the history of the world, and the most relevant Kennedy is with him. This dude is a phenomenon. He is the most powerful human on earth and in our lifetime. And we're still saying, well, how is this guy? We look like idiots to ordinary people.
You're totally right.
Hi, folks. You may be hearing a lot about Yrefy these days. Well, it's true. Investors all over the country are earning a high fixed rate of return, and they don't care what happens with the stock market or the Fed. And it's true, your interest is compounded daily, you're paid monthly, and there are absolutely no fees. And yes, it's true, there is no attack on your principal if you ever need your money back. When you invest with Yrefy like I do, you are in control. You can turn your income on or off, compound it, whatever you choose. You don't have to worry about doom and gloom economic news, and you can have peace of mind that you'll receive your statement every month with no surprises. Would you like some more information? Just call 877-80-INVEST, that's 877-80-INVEST, or log on to investyrefy.com, that's investyrefy.com. Yrefy, do well by doing good. Let me ask you a question. How many of you are concerned about the invasion of privacy that is currently going on by the Biden administration? Biden's DOJ is invading individuals' private messages and targeting them based on their political affiliation, and that's why I partnered with Freedom Chat, a private social messaging app that, like me, believes privacy is your fundamental human right. Freedom Chat has variable end-to-end encryption, built-in screenshot protection, no storage of messages on their servers, and no commercial use of user data. I'm such a fan of Freedom Chat, in fact, that I have created my own private channel that you can subscribe to for exclusive content, including never-seen images, videos, and posts. Simply download the app, or if you're on Android, join their waitlist. Search for my channel and subscribe. No one can see the channels that you are subscribed to or the posts that you react to. It's your own perfectly curated private news feed. Speak freely and message privately with Freedom Chat. Download the app today and subscribe to my channel at Larry Elder for exclusive posts and never-before-seen content. OMG! Next thing you know, Mitt Romney will say nice things about Trump. After all, Romney voted twice to convict Trump after his 2 impeachments, and he was the first and for a time the only senator to vote to convict and impeach president from his own party. And remember this?
And let me put it very plainly. If we Republicans choose Donald Trump as our nominee, the prospects for a safe and prosperous future are greatly diminished. If Donald Trump's plans were ever implemented, the country would sink into prolonged recession. But you say, wait. Isn't he a huge business success? Doesn't he know what he's talking about? No, he isn't. And no, he doesn't. Look, his bankruptcies have crushed small businesses and the men and women who work for them. He inherited his business. He didn't create it. Mr. Trump's bombast is already alarming our allies and fueling the enmity of our enemies. Insulting all Muslims will keep many of them from fully engaging with us in their urgent fight against ISIS. And for what purpose? Muslim terrorists would only have to lie about their religion to enter the country. Now, Donald Trump tells us that he is very, very smart. I'm afraid that when it comes to foreign policy, he is very, very not smart. Now, I'm far from the first to conclude that Donald Trump lacks the temperament to be president. Think of Donald Trump's personal qualities: the bullying, the greed, the showing off, the misogyny, the absurd third-grade theatrics. You know, we've long referred to him as the Donald. He's the only person in the entire country to whom we have added an article before his name, and it wasn't because he had attributes we admired. There are a number of people who claim that Mr. Trump is a con man, a fake. He applauds the prospect of twisting the Constitution to limit First Amendment freedom of the press. This is the very brand of anger that has led other nations into the abyss. Here's what I know. Donald Trump is a phony, a fraud. His promises are as worthless as a degree from Trump University. He's playing the members of the American public for suckers. He gets a free ride to the White House, and all we get is a lousy hat. His domestic policies would lead to recession. His foreign policies would make America and the world less safe. He has neither the temperament nor the judgment to be president, and his personal qualities would mean that America would cease to be a shining city on a hill.
How horrible.
But that was so then.
Oh, MAGA is the Republican Party, and Donald Trump is the Republican Party today. And if you were to ask me who the nominee will be in 2028, I think it'll be J.D. Vance, all right? He's smart, well-spoken, part of the MAGA movement.
You said something pretty harsh about him a few months ago, though. You could not have less respect for somebody than J.D. Vance.
Long ago. I'm not going to rehash history. And we've worked together in the Senate since then. But I you know, that is what the Republican Party is. And will the party need to change? Look, the Republican Party has become the party of the working class, middle class voter. And you've got to give Donald Trump credit for having done that, taken that away from the Democrats.
Oh, what a difference it makes when the man Romney excoriated in 2016 confounds the experts and stages a history-shattering political comeback, wins all 7 swing states, wins the popular vote, leads Republican takeover of the Senate, retains the control of the House, and mops up the floor against his Democratic opponent. Welcome back, Mitt.
Ooh. Ooh.
Well, he's certainly left with his tail between his legs.
And even the Trump-bashing Stephen A. Smith is fed up with the anti-Trump media smears. What? It wasn't a conspiracy theory that the FBI had a bunch of undercover agents at the Capitol building on January 6th? No, it wasn't a conspiracy theory, Mr. Stephen A.
The news comes amidst a bombshell report from the Justice Department that revealed the FBI had at least 26 confidential informants on the ground when the Capitol was stormed on January 6, 2021. The report says most of the informants engaged in illegal activity during the chaos. The Justice Department says only 3 of its 26 informants present had been instructed to observe potential domestic terrorist suspects on the day of the riot. The rest of the 23 appear to have gone to the Capitol on their own accord. Upon hearing news of the report, Vice President-elect J.D. Vance posted the following on X, quote, "For those keeping score at home, this was labeled a dangerous conspiracy theory months ago," end quote. Didn't hear anything about that for the election. Didn't hear anything about that when the quote-unquote insurrection was broached by Vice President Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee. The belief that Donald Trump was a danger to democracy and using this as a profound, illuminating bullet point to make that case. And now here we are yet again finding even more evidence to Donald Trump's claims when he articulated that the process is rigged. My big issue is that I'm really, really sick and tired of every time I turn around finding something else that the Democrats have lied about or downplayed or misrepresented along the way. I mean, I see Republicans like Megyn Kelly or Officer Tatum or Candace Owens or, you know, the Sean Hannitys of the world. You know what I'm getting tired of? You know what I'm getting to the Democratic Party? You know what I'm getting really off about? I'm getting really ticked off at every time they open their mouth about something pertaining to y'all, they seem right.
Back to Kamala for a second. Not to worry. Kamala may be down, but she ain't out.
And I ask you to remember the context in which you exist. Yeah, I did that. Uh-huh. 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 Uh-huh.
Our spirit is not defeated. We are not defeated. Let's be clear about that. We are strong. We are clear about why we are in this. And because you're here right now, I say, again, thank you, because not only are you clear about all of that, you're willing to put in the hard work. And that work must continue. We cannot let any circumstance or situation or individual ever take away our power to know why we do what we do and our ability to then get that work done. And especially because we know what we stand for, and that's why we know what to fight for. We here believe in the promise of America.
So be it. Now stand aside, worthy adversary.
'Tis but a scratch.
A scratch? Your arm's off.
No, it isn't.
Well, what's that then?
I've heard worse.
You liar!
Come on, you pansy.
Victory is mine. We thank thee, Lord, that in thy mouth...
Come on, then.
What?
How about you?
You are indeed brave tonight, but the fight is mine.
Oh, had enough, eh?
Look, you stupid bastard, you've got no arms left.
Yes, I have.
Look!
It's just a flesh wound.
Look, stop that!
Chicken! Chicken!
Look, I'll have your leg. Right!
Right, I'll do you for that.
You what?
Come here.
What are you going to do, bleed on me?
I'm invincible!
You're a loony.
The Black Knight always triumphs! How about you? Come on, then. All right, we'll call it a draw.
Now, right before George Clintonopoulos was required to undergo a deposition in a lawsuit Donald Trump filed against him for defamation, ABC settled it for $15 million plus $1 million for Trump's legal fees. This is what prompted the lawsuit.
I still get judged for it today.
I'm asking you a very simple question.
And I answered it. You're shaming me for my political choices.
I'm asking you a question about why you endorse someone who's been found liable for rape.
It was not a criminal court. This was a civil court. It was a civil court. And by the way, she joked about the judgment and what she was going to do with all that money, and I find that offensive.
I'm asking you about the man
as a rape victim, who's been shamed for years now because of her rape. You're trying to shame me again by asking me this political question.
You've repeated that again.
I think it's offensive. As a woman, I find it offensive. My political choices, I've endorsed the man that I believe is best for our country. It's not Joe Biden. And you looked at the dueling rallies yesterday in Georgia. Laken Riley's family was with Donald Trump. They weren't with Joe Biden. The same guy yesterday that apologized for calling her killer an illegal, who wasn't illegal. And here you are trying to shame a rape victim. I find it disgusting.
I mean, you keep saying I'm shaming you.
You are. The question, it is.
How is the question asking you about a presidential candidate who's
You're asking a rape victim.
And there's no question about that. And you've courageously talked about that.
Because I've been raped. I think that's disgusting.
No, I'm questioning your political choices because you're supporting
shaming me. You're
someone who's been found liable for rape. Actually, I'm not trying to shame you.
You are. That's exactly
what you're doing. You're not answering the question.
I think it's disgusting.
Well, you're welcome to say that, but you also have to answer the question. Why are you supporting someone who's been found liable for rape?
I just answered your question.
What is the answer?
He was not found guilty in a criminal court of law. It was sexual abuse. It wasn't actually rape, by the way. And E. Jean Carroll joked about all the money she's going to get and made a mockery out of this case. And I think that's offensive. There's a reason why women don't come forward. And when you have someone who says that they're raped and they make a mockery out of this civil court judgment, it's offensive to other women. It makes it harder for other women to come forward when another woman has made a mockery of it.
You said women don't come forward because they are afraid. They are afraid because they're defamed
and shamed
by those
like you're trying to shame me this morning.
They are afraid to come forward, as you said, because they are defamed by those who commit the rape. That's what Donald Trump has been found guilty of doing.
He defended himself over that and denies that it ever happened, but he was not found guilty in a criminal court of law.
No, Trump was not found guilty of rape.
By those who commit the rape. That's what Donald Trump has been found guilty of doing.
He was never charged with rape, let alone found guilty of it. He was found liable in a defamation lawsuit over the accusation that he sexually abused E. Jean Carroll, and when she complained about it, denied that he did it. And the judge said in order to find him liable for defamation, the jury had to determine that it was more likely than not that the sexual abuse took place. But this was a civil suit, not a criminal case, and in no way, shape, or form was Donald Trump ever found guilty of or even charged with rape.
I think it's still important to message it. I mean, I totally agree. I think, it's egregious and this is now different from 2016 because he has been found liable for rape. So it's a different scenario.
But the question that I have is why do we have a significant swath of the country that is so ready to give the democracy away for a man who is a, criminal, has been civilly held liable for rape? He's a terrible businessman.
And go, why are we not beating this guy? Why is this convicted felon, this man has been found liable for rape? Why is this ranter and raver? Why is he leading in the polls?
Lies are lies. And do you want to vote for a felon? Do you want to vote for somebody, who said awful things about women, has been held liable for rape? Do you want to, vote?
At the end of the day, what we know from Donald Trump is that he has over 24 credible allegations of sexual assault. We know that he was found liable for rape. We know that this is somebody who has a long-standing history of being aggressive towards women.
If you don't want to be held liable for rape like Donald Trump has, don't grab the woman's genitalia. If you don't want to be held liable for defaming the woman that you raped, don't keep lying about what you did. And
I just have to say, I'll take those concerns seriously if you also express concerns about the allegations. He's been found liable for rape. Donald Trump
sexual assault. That's the same thing.
Okay, so that's also true. So we're not going to litigate those other things.
Look, the Republican Party is led by a guy who is out on bail, literally, who was convicted of sexual assault that a judge classified as rape. I mean, that we don't talk about this as sort of the headline in every election story is just amazing. And every donor to the Republican Party should know you're giving to a guy who's out on bail. Are you good with that? And I just find it extraordinary that the party can fall into this sinkhole.
He was found liable in a civil case of sexual assault, but I get your point there.
Why you endorse someone who's been found liable for rape? Just
it was not a criminal.
Because you're supporting
me. You're
someone who's been found liable for rape. Actually, I'm not trying to. You have to answer the question. Why are you supporting someone who's been found liable for rape?
I just answered your question.
What is the answer? By those who commit the rape. That's what Donald Trump has been found guilty of doing.
this council has no hesitation in proclaiming you all guilty. 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 Guilty.
Americans have had enough of supporting companies that hate our values. Tired of compromise? So am I. It's time to switch to Patriot Mobile, America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. They are an example of putting the cause ahead of profits, and that's why I'm proud to partner with them. Patriot Mobile offers dependable nationwide coverage, giving you access to all 3 major networks, which means you get the same coverage you've been accustomed to without funding the left. When you switch over to Patriot Mobile, you're sending a message that you support the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the sanctity of life, and our military vets and our first responder heroes. Their 100% U.S.-based customer service team makes it easy to switch, keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade. Their team will help you find the best plan for your needs. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Larry or call 972-PATRIOT. That's patriotmobile.com/Larry or call 972-PATRIOT. Get free activation when you use the offer code Larry. Join me and make that switch today. patriotmobile.com/Larry, patriotmobile.com/Larry or call 972-PATRIOT. Located in the heart of Sugar House, Salt Lake City, Utah, family-owned El Cholo is a vibrant Mexican restaurant offering a unique dining experience across 2 stylish levels. With a beautiful bar, chic design, and stunning views of the Wasatch Mountains, it's the perfect spot for both casual meals and special occasions. El Cholo can host up to 250 people, making it an ideal venue for events like weddings, parties, or corporate gatherings. Whether you're enjoying authentic Mexican dishes or sipping cocktails like our signature margarita, the restaurant's warm ambiance and prime location attract a diverse crowd, including the University of Utah students who love the flavorful dishes and wonderful, lively atmosphere. El Cholo is a favorite gathering spot for locals and visitors alike. 2166 South 900th East, Salt Lake City, Utah, 84106. Phone number 385-426-2166. Other locations in Los Angeles, Santa Monica, downtown LA, Anaheim Hills, Corona del Mar, and La Habra. elcholo.com, that's elcholo.com. President-elect Trump gave his first post-election interview with NBC's Meet the Press. I thought the questions were a bit snarky, and apparently so did Trump.
President-elect Donald Trump, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here. You are the first president since Grover Cleveland to win non-consecutive terms. Republicans now have control of the House and the Senate. Right. What do you plan to accomplish in your first 100 days in office? We are going to delve into your nominations, but since you bring him up, do you still have confidence in Pete Hegseth?
Yes, I do. I really do.
The fact that there are these allegations against him, misconduct, sexual misconduct, heavy drinking, the fact that he said to some senators reportedly he'll stop drinking if he gets this job, does that worry you?
No.
All right, we're going to delve into your cabinet case a little bit later, but I want to delve into one of your signature promises on the campaign trail, which was to end inflation, to lower prices. You are now proposing tariffs against the United States' 3 biggest trading partners. Economists of all stripes say that ultimately consumers pay the price of tariffs.
I don't believe
Can you guarantee American families won't pay more?
I can't guarantee anything. I can't guarantee tomorrow.
Sir, your previous tariffs during your first administration cost Americans some $80 billion, and now you have major companies from Walmart, Black & Decker, AutoZone saying that any tariffs are going to force them to drive up prices for their consumers. How do you make sure that these CEOs, that these companies don't in fact pass on the cost of tariffs to their consumers?
They cost Americans nothing.
Well, again, prices did go up on some goods in your first administration, washing machines, tires. Will you punish CEOs?
Let me just explain to you. No.
But how do you make sure that consumers don't wind up paying more? Will you punish CEOs who try to pass the cost of tariffs onto their customers?
Well, the market's going to take care of it.
Well, I think, and that takes me to my next question. Are you actually going to impose these tariffs, or are they a negotiating tactic?
Well, I'll give you an example.
This week you had that conversation.
Not that conversation, but I had other conversations. But in the past, I've had that conversation.
Let me ask you about another aspect of the economy, sir, the minimum wage. The federal minimum wage has been $7.25 since 2009. There are 20 states that still have the federal minimum wage at $7.25, and I actually have a map. 19 of these states actually voted for you, sir. And you can see it right here. I don't know if you remember this, but during the debate in 2020, I asked you if you would raise the minimum wage. You said you would consider it. And so my question for you is, now that you are going back to the White House, for these 19 states that voted for you, are you going to raise the federal
It's a very low
minimum
number. I will agree. It's a very low number. Let me give you the downside, though. In California, they raised it up to a very high number, and your restaurants are going out of business all over the place.
So I hear you saying, similarly to what you said in 2020, will you consider this something you're going to look at?
I'd want to speak to the governor.
Before we move on to immigration, which I do want to talk about, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, said he will not leave his post even if you ask him to. Will you try to replace Jerome Powell?
No, I don't think so. I don't see it.
You don't have plans to do that right now?
No, I don't.
Okay, let's talk about mass deportation, one of your big agenda items. You've talked about prioritizing people who have criminal histories.
Correct.
But is it your plan to deport everyone who is here illegally over the next 4 years?
Well, I think you have to do it. And they're very dangerous.
The 13,000 figure, I think, goes back about 40 years.
No, it doesn't. No,
That's
it's within the 3-year
13,000
period. It's during the Biden term. No, that was a fiction that they put that out. This was done by the Border Patrol. It's 13,099, and it's during the Biden period of time. And these are murderers, many of whom murdered more than one person. You don't want those people in this country.
But you're saying something, sir, that's significant. I just want to make sure I'm clear, which is that you're saying, yes, you're going to focus on the people with criminal histories, but everyone who's here illegally has to go.
I'm saying this. We have to get the criminals out of our country.
You know, the local police say that is not the case in Colorado.
Oh, it's totally the case. I mean,
you don't believe the local police.
I play it. I used to play it at my rallies every single night. No, they're breaking into doors. They're taking over the building.
But sir, you
and by the way,
raised
the police are afraid to do anything.
You raised the point that the logistics are complicated. You said yourself, you need 24. Yeah, you need 24 times more ICE detention capacity just to deport 1 million people per year. Not to mention more agents, more judges, more planes. Is it realistic to deport everyone who's
here illegally? First of all, they're costing us a fortune. But we're starting with the criminals, and we got to do it.
What about dreamers, sir? Dreamers who were brought to this country illegally as children. You said once back in 2017 they quote shouldn't be very worried about being deported. Should they be worried now?
We're going to do something about
what does that mean? What are you going to do?
I will work with the Democrats on a plan, and
you want them to be able to stay. That's what you're saying.
I do. I want to be able to work something out.
Let me ask you about another group of people. The estimated 4 million families in America who have mixed immigration status. So I'm talking about parents who might be here illegally, but the kids are here legally. Your borders are
talking about separation.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are two aspects to this. Your borders are. Tom Homan said they can be deported together. Correct. Is that the plan?
Well, that way you keep the. Well, I don't want to be breaking up families. So the only way you don't break up the family is you keep them together, and you have to send them all back.
Even kids who are here legally.
Well, what you're going to do? If they want to stay with the father. Look, we have to have rules and regulations.
Yeah, the FBI statistics. You're talking about those FBI statistics.
Well, no, but he gave the wrong answer.
Confusing based on what you're looking at.
But a lot of that is migrant crime.
Let me ask you about another aspect.
You know, a lot of it's migrant crime.
Well, let me ask you about another aspect of this that I think a lot of people are really curious about. I mean, 3% of the people who are here illegally have criminal histories. But in your first administration, you had the zero tolerance policy, where we did see family separation. Yeah. You ended it. The purpose of that, though, to some extent, you talk about this at the time was
you also had it with Obama. You do know that.
He didn't have a zero tolerance policy.
And you also know he built the jails for children.
He didn't have a zero tolerance policy.
But in 2014, he built the jails. You know that.
I want to ask you about the zero tolerance policy. He didn't have a systemic, we're going to separate families. Families were separated when parents were affected. Kids.
We don't have to separate a family. Excuse me, Kristen. Yeah. We don't have to separate families. Yeah. We'll send the whole family very humanely back to the country where they came. That way the family's not separated.
So no more family separations. You're not reviving the zero tolerance policy.
The family may decide to say, I'd rather have dad go, and we'll stay here. And in which case they have that option.
But you're not going to revive your zero tolerance policy, which was put in place as a deterrent. Is there any universe where you would bring that back, sir?
We need deterrence. Look, ready? When somebody comes here illegally, they're going out. It's very simple. So that was made very clear by Tom Homan.
So you're not, at this point in time, planning to revive that zero tolerance policy where kids are
well, if you call that, I'm doing what I just told you I'm going to do.
So let me ask you.
You understand what I'm saying?
Let me, before we get
and you get a much more accurate count.
Before we get to all of that, let me ask you about some of your other promises on this topic. You promised to end birthright citizenship on day one. Is that still your plan?
Yeah, absolutely.
The 14th Amendment, though, says that, quote, all persons born in the United States are citizens. Can you get around the 14th Amendment with executive action?
Change. We'll maybe have to go back to the people, but we have to end it. We're the only country that has it.
Through executive action?
You know, we're the only country that has it. You know?
Through executive action?
Well, if we can, through executive action.
Well, what about the legal challenge? Inevitable legal challenges that'll come.
You know, we have thousands of judges. Somebody walks onto our land.
Let's talk about health care. I've been talking to Republican lawmakers on Capitol Hill. They say it's no longer feasible to repeal and replace Obamacare because it's so entrenched in the system. Do you see it that way? Is that now off the table, repealing and replacing
when John McCain let us down.
But you did try to overturn it, sir.
Well,
you did try to overturn it. You did have your Justice Department try to direct the Supreme Court to.
No, we got a little bit of a surprising opinion, to be honest with you. And all I had to do was starve it to death.
You did try to have your Justice Department effectively kill it, though,
sir. Kill it from a legal standpoint, but from a physical standpoint, I made it work.
In your concepts of a plan, sir, will people with pre-existing conditions still have coverage, and can you guarantee their prices will not go up?
The answer is yes, they'll have coverage. You have to have it.
And what about their prices?
You know what
about their prices, sir?
I want the prices to go down. I want to have better health care for less money.
Just very quickly, when will we see your fully developed plan? When are you
I don't know that you'll see it at all. Like if you look at what I did, I made it good.
You tried to repeal and replace.
Because if I repealed it and replaced it, we would have had a better system because we wouldn't have had healthcare.
Let me ask you about another aspect of healthcare. You talked about this on the campaign trail, IVF. You promised free IVF for all who want it, either through the government or through mandates with insurance companies. I've been hearing from Republican senators, some of them, who say they're not going to support that plan. How are you going to get that passed?
Well, we're going to see.
But, sir, I want to understand where it falls in your list of priorities. I mean, is this something we can expect to see you try to move on in the first 100 days?
We're going to be talking about it.
Let's talk about abortion, sir. You have taken responsibility for overturning Roe v. Wade. You've said that abortion is now a state issue. There are steps that you could take, though, as president, to restrict abortion through executive action without Congress. More than half of abortions in this country are medication abortions. Will you restrict the availability of abortion pills when you're in office?
Probably. I'll probably stay with exactly what I've been saying for the last 2 years.
Let's talk about some of your picks to fill out your administration. You named Kash Patel to be the next FBI director. He has a list in his book of 60 people that he calls members of the so-called deep state. It includes Democrats like Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton. It includes former members of your cabinet, from Bill Barr to Christopher Wray. You campaigned on destroying the deep state. Do you want Kash Patel to launch investigations into people on that list?
No, I mean, he's going to do what he thinks is right.
Do you think that's right? Do you think that's right, sir?
If they think that somebody was dishonest or crooked or a corrupt politician, I think he probably has an obligation to do it. But
are you going to direct him to do it?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Is it your expectation, though, that Kash Patel will pursue investigations against your political enemies?
No, I don't think so.
Do you want to see that happen?
If they were crooked, if they did something wrong, if they have broken the law, probably they went after me. You know, they went after me and I did nothing wrong.
Well, let me ask you this. You said President Biden, quote, that you're going to appoint a real special prosecutor to go after Joe Biden. You said that during the campaign.
Where?
You said that on Truth Social, June 12, 2023. I will appoint a real special prosecutor to go after the most corrupt president in the history of the United States, Joe Biden, and the entire Biden crime family. Are you going to do that? Are you going to go after Joe Biden?
I'm really looking to make our country successful. I'm not looking to go back into the past. I'm looking to make our country successful.
I want to pause here because what you're saying is significant. Because you wrote on Truth Social in 2023 that you're going to appoint a real special prosecutor to go after Joe Biden. Now you're saying you're not going to do that.
I will say this. No, I'm not doing that unless I find something that I think is reasonable.
Get to some of that.
No, wait. You can't do one without the other.
Pam Bondi talks about investigating the investigators. Do you want her to investigate Jack Smith?
I want her to do what she wants to do.
Do you want to see Jack Smith
investigate? Well, I think he's very corrupt, but I want her to do whatever she wants.
Are you going to direct her to prosecute Jack Smith?
She's a very smart person.
Don't you have to fire him in order to make room for Kash Patel? He is, in fact, confirmed.
Well, I mean, it would sort of seem pretty obvious that if Kash gets in, he's going to be taking somebody's place, right? And somebody is the man that you're talking about.
Okay, let's talk about Project 2025. This is the conservative policy blueprint. You disavowed it during the campaign. You called it a product of the radical right. You've said some of their ideas were abysmal.
I said some of it is. Some of it is very good. Some of it's very mainstream, actually.
Well, so you take me to my question. You're now giving people involved in Project 2025 prominent roles in your administration. Are you changing your mind about Project 2025? Is this now the policy blueprint for the second Trump administration? Well, I guess people see the list: Russ Vought, Brendan Carr, Peter Navarro, John Ratcliffe, Pete Hoekstra, Monica Crowley, and they think these are all the people who are involved in or writing Project 2025. This must be a blueprint for work requirements, eliminating the Head Start program, criminalizing pornography. Is that what we can expect?
I don't know how they voted. I don't know. I never spoke to him.
But the people who see, oh, he's bringing in all these people from Project 2025, he must know what it is.
Well, you know, I don't know what it is. No, I don't know what it is.
You still don't know
but I
what it is,
heard
all
certain
these
things
people
that I didn't like.
your-
And by the way, I heard certain things that are phenomenal.
Like what?
Like Law and Order. We want Law and Order. Okay.
Let me ask you about something you've referenced a couple of times in this interview. I asked you last time we sat down for an interview if you were going to pardon yourself. You said no. But now that President Biden has pardoned his son, Hunter, are you reconsidering? Might you pardon yourself?
I didn't do anything wrong.
And you don't want one now? You're not going to pardon yourself now?
What do I need one for? First of all, I won almost all of the cases.
What if President
Biden... I
Biden...
didn't win are on resuscitation.
What if President Biden offered you a pardon? Would you accept it?
I've never even thought about it.
And you know he denies he had anything to do with it.
No,
and
you can't deny it. You know why?
Yeah.
Because they were there. Wait a minute. Wait. You know, you have a tendency to sort of like slough over things.
Let me ask you about some of this new reporting. NBC News is reporting that President Biden is considering giving preemptive pardons to the likes of Liz Cheney, Adam Schiff, and Anthony Fauci. If President Biden doesn't issue those pardons, do you think they are going to wish that he had? Are they going to be
I can tell you this about Cheney. They testified. They said it was total.
So you think Liz Cheney should go to jail?
For what
Everyone
they did.
on the committee.
I think anybody that voted in favor.
Are you going to direct your FBI director and your attorney general to send them to jail?
Not at all. I think that they'll have to look at that. But I'm not going to. I'm going to focus on drill, baby, drill.
When you say that, it carries weight, though. You've tapped these people to lead the Justice Department and FBI.
They can do whatever they want.
Okay.
Biden can give him a pardon if he wants to. It's unprecedented.
And they deny
if you do
doing
that in a civil case, you go to jail.
You know they deny doing that, and officials say that the order never came in for the
They put
National
out a
Guard.
statement.
On January 6th, let me ask you this about January 6th.
Benny Thompson wrote in a statement that he has destroyed all evidence.
Let me ask you this about January 6th.
I wish you could be if you have such potential. If you could be just non-biased, you hurt yourself so badly. I'm telling you.
No, I'm just saying they deny it. That's all I'm saying.
Listen, if I did it, you would be standing up in that chair shouting at me. And you know what I'd do? I'd say, you got me.
Let me ask you about January 6th in a different capacity, okay? I think you're going to want to answer this question. You promised to pardon those who attacked the Capitol on January 6th. Are you still vowing to follow through with that promise?
We're looking at it right now, most likely, yeah.
Let me just,
and I think it's very unfair.
But
most likely I'll do it very quickly.
Very quickly. Okay, but some of them, 169 of them, have pleaded guilty to assaulting police officers. 900 pleaded guilty to other crimes. They're also going to be eligible for a pardon from you?
Listen, it's a very tough system.
So, but you're going to consider pardoning even those who pleaded guilty to crimes, including assaulting police officers?
Sometimes they say, here's your choice.
You're not ruling it out?
Look, I know the system.
I'm
going to look at everything. We're going to look at individual cases, yeah.
Okay.
But I'm going to be acting very quickly.
Within your first 100 days, first day?
First day.
First day.
Yeah, I'm looking
for
first day.
Issue these pardons.
These people have been, how long is it, 3 or 4 years?
Okay. Let's talk about your cabinet picks. I know we started off talking about Pete Hegseth, but I just want to return to that very quickly. Have you gotten assurances from senators that he's going to be confirmed? Do you think he can make it?
No, I think he will, yeah. I've had a lot of senators call me up saying he's fantastic.
You don't drink yourself.
No.
You've talked about how devastating drinking can be.
No.
How concerned are you that the person who you picked for this top job at the Defense Department, at least according to those who've worked with him, has struggled with drinking?
But I've spoken to people that know him very well, and they say he does not have a drinking problem.
Let me ask you about former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard. You picked her to be the Director of National Intelligence.
Right.
In 2017, she had 2 secret meetings with Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad. Do you have questions or concerns about those meetings?
No, and he's got bigger problems right now.
Well, do you think it makes it hard for her?
His country's
yeah. I mean, do you think it compromises her ability to
I met
handle
with
that?
Putin. I met with President Xi of China. I met with Kim Jong-un twice. Does that
When you
mean
were
that I can't be
president? Well, when you were president, they weren't secret meetings.
People meet. All these people meet. I mean, I see some of the most dishonest people.
So you have confidence in Tulsi Gabbard?
I do. I mean, she's a very respected person.
Let me ask you about RFK Jr. He has obviously talked about his skepticism of vaccines. He's expressed opposition to childhood vaccines. Do you want to see childhood vaccines eliminated?
If they're dangerous for the children. Look,
so possibly?
When you look at some of the problems.
Are you talking about autism? Sir, going back 25 years, studies show that there is no link between vaccines and autism. And yet it sounds like you are open to the possibility of him looking
I'm
at
open to
getting rid of
anything.
them.
I think somebody has to find out. If you go back 25 years ago, you had very little autism. Now you have it. I mean,
well, they say because they're better at identifying it.
1 in 100,000, and now it's 1 in 100. That's a pretty bad number.
Childhood vaccines.
I mean, something is going on. I don't know if it's vaccines. Maybe it's chlorine in the water, right? You know, people are looking at a lot of different things.
You know, childhood vaccines.
I want them to look at everything.
Everything. So childhood vaccines have prevented about 4 million deaths around the world every year.
I think that's great.
Well, again, scientists say that's because they've gotten better at identifying it, and there's no link in
but
studies.
The drug companies are going to be working with RFK Jr.
Let's talk about Elon Musk, another interesting person.
He's very interesting.
Last month, one of your allies said, quote, he's behaving as if he's a co-president. Will you favor Elon Musk over other leaders of competitor companies like Jeff Bezos, Mary Barra?
Don't Jeff Bezos call me? We're having dinner.
Very quickly, because we're going to talk about the election coming up, but you've tapped Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, to head up this Department of Government Efficiency,
correct,
which proposes cuts to the federal government. I think a lot of people hear that and they get concerned about Medicare and Social Security and
Not
Medicaid and defense spending. You won't touch Medicare, Social Security?
Okay. No, I said to be, we're not touching Social Security, other than we make it more efficient, but the people are going to get what they get.
Okay, so the entitlements
we're
off
not
the
raising,
table.
and we're not raising ages or any of that stuff.
Okay, off the
I won't
table.
do it.
Okay, let's turn to foreign policy. Should Ukraine prepare for less aid from the United States after your swing into office?
Yeah, probably. Sure.
You've said you can end the war in
We're in
24
for 350 billion.
You said you can end the war in 24 hours. You've even said you want to try to end it before you're sworn into office. You're actively trying to?
I am.
Have you talked to President Putin?
No, I have not.
You haven't talked to President Putin since you've been elected?
Well, I don't want to say that, but I haven't spoken to him recently.
So you've spoken to President Putin since you've been elected?
I don't want to say that. I don't want to say anything about that because I don't want to do anything that could impede the negotiation.
But you
want to
talked about
Let me tell you what I have talked
leaders.
about.
Okay.
But
you did
had
not,
I,
sir.
well, that's your opinion, but I disagree with it. Had I...
Sir, will the United States stay in NATO while you're in office?
In where?
NATO. Do you commit that the United States will remain a member of NATO while you're in office?
Again, they have to pay their bills. If they pay their bills, absolutely.
But not if they don't pay their bills.
But NATO's taking advantage of us.
But if not, you would consider the possibility of
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Let's turn to the Middle East now, sir. There are still American hostages being held in Gaza. Yeah. You said this week that if the hostages aren't released before Inauguration Day, quote, there will be all hell to pay.
Correct.
What exactly did you mean? And do you still think that the hostages are alive? Really?
That's what I think. It's only my opinion, but I've been right on just about everything.
Are you going to pressure Prime Minister Netanyahu, with whom you have a very good relationship, to end the war in Gaza?
Yeah, sure.
And have you already started that process?
I want him to end, but you got to have a victory. People forget about October 7th.
If China invades Taiwan on your watch, are you committed to defending Taiwan?
I never say.
Still won't say.
I never say because I have to negotiate things, right?
Can you just say if you'll defend it? I'm not saying if the U.S. military.
I prefer that they don't do it.
And you sent
that
message?
Since like 3 days ago. Yes, we communicate.
And you sent that message to him, don't
We
we?
didn't talk about that.
This week, a federal court upheld a law that could result in TikTok being banned. You said you're going to rescue TikTok when you get into office. Are you going to take steps to protect it?
Yeah. As you know, I use TikTok very successfully in my campaign.
So are you going to try to protect TikTok just very quick once you're in office? We're winding down, and I know you have a plane to catch.
I do.
This is your first interview since you won the election.
Congratulations.
Yes,
I hope
congratulations
you do well.
to you.
Hope you do well.
Yes, and sir, I don't have to tell you this because you've talked about it. It comes at a time when the country is deeply divided, and now you're going to be leading this country for the next 4 years. For the sake of unifying this country, will you concede the 2020 election and turn the page on that chapter?
No. No, why would I do that? But let me just say, when you say the country is deeply divided, I'm not the president. Joe Biden's the president.
But you're going to be the president.
No, I'm not the president. So when you say it's deeply divided, I agree. But Biden's the president, I'm not. And he has been a divider. And you know where he divided it more than anything else, and it probably backfired on him? I think definitely is weaponization. When he weaponized the Justice Department and he went after his political opponent, me, he went after his political opponent violently because he knew he couldn't beat him. And I think it really was a bad thing. And it really divided our country.
Sir, Democrats have control of the White House now. They didn't in 2020. If they're going around stealing elections,
When you say Democrats have control now?
of the White House.
Yeah.
So why didn't they steal this election? Since they have more power now.
Because I think it was too big to rig.
So you won't.
Too big to rig.
To the people who say that you're now directing your Justice Department to investigate 2020, and they want to move on.
Very
Is
careful.
that a
Pam is
good
going to
use
be
of
great.
precious resources?
By the way,
Is that what
just
you
so
want to do?
Just so you know, I have the right to do that, but I'm not interested in that.
Oh, you're not
I
going to
want
do that?
I'm not interested. I have the absolute right. I'm the chief law enforcement officer. You do know that.
Last two questions here. One of the things that made this campaign unprecedented and extraordinary were the horrific attempts against your life. 2 assassination attempts. Do you feel safe going into the White House
I
for
do.
the next 4 years? Why?
I have confidence in Secret Service.
I know it was hard on your entire family. What can people expect from the First Lady in this second administration? What role will she play? She obviously had her be best campaign.
She's very liked, loved, and she's very respected.
But will you miss having them there? Will it
I'll
feel
miss
different?
them.
They were your
I'll
top
miss them.
advisors.
I'll tell you what, I'll miss them, and they're really competent.
What will the First Lady's role be, do you think? Will she continue her Be Best campaign?
She's a very elegant First Lady. And the reason is because I'm able to go on a show, even like yours, even though you're very hostile, I'm able to go on a show like yours. No, you are.
Well, hopefully you thought it was a fair interview. We covered a lot of policy ground.
It's fair only in that you allowed me to say what I say, but the answers, the questions are pretty nasty. But look, because I've seen you interview other people like Biden, and
I've never interviewed President Biden.
When I say you, I'm talking metaphorically. I've seen George Stephanopoulos interview Biden, and he's a tough interviewer. It's the softest interview. I've seen CNN interview him. They give these soft, what's your favorite ice cream? It's a whole different deal. I don't understand why. You would think the press would like to see strong borders, great education, a powerful military, so we have a country left, and all these different things, and somehow they don't want to see that.
Let me ask you, hopefully you think this interview was fair. We spent a lot of time talking about your policy in your second administration. I want to ask you, sir, one final question. What do you want to say to Americans who didn't support you in this campaign?
I'm going to treat you every bit as well as I have treated the greatest MAGA supporters. There's never been anything like MAGA in the history of this country.
Thank you very much for the honor of this first interview. Thank you.
Check out this analysis of the interview by this TikToker.
After watching the new interview with Trump on NBC, I couldn't do nothing but smile because I'm so proud of him. I really am. Proud of him because I know that it could have went left real fast. It could have went left real fast because she was a whole to my president. Not a half, a whole. Somebody who wanted to once be a journalist, I could honestly say these are some of the worst journalists I have ever seen. I grew up watching people like Barbara Walters, Diane Sawyer. These were great journalists to watch. They really did their motherfucking work. I don't know what these be doing because they are so aggressive. They are so disrespectful. How dare you talk to the leader of the free world like that? But Trump handled it. He handled that like a G. And you know what he said when she asked him about how he would treat the people who did not vote for him? Check it out. Listen to what my president said.
And the reason is because I'm able to go on a show, even like yours, even though you're very hostile, I'm able to go on a show like yours. No, you are.
Well, hopefully you thought it was a fair interview. We covered a lot of policy ground.
It's fair only in that you allowed me to say what I say. But, the answers, the questions are, pretty nasty. But look, because I've seen you interview other people like Biden. And
I've never interviewed President Biden.
When I say you, I'm talking metaphorically.
Okay.
I've seen George Stephanopoulos interview Biden. And he's a tough interviewer. It's the softest interview. I've seen CNN interview him. They give these soft, what's your favorite ice cream? It's a whole different deal. I don't understand why. You would think the press would like to see strong borders, great education, a powerful military, so we have a country left, and all these different things. And somehow they don't want to see that.
Let me ask you, hopefully you think this interview was fair. We spent a lot of time talking about your policy in your second administration. I want to ask you, sir, one final question. What do you want to say to Americans who didn't support you in this campaign?
I'm going to treat you every bit as well as I have treated the greatest MAGA supporters. There's never been anything like MAGA in the history of this country.
You know what he didn't say? He didn't call them trash. okay? Y'all get on here and y'all put so much hate on this man. The only thing he's trying to do is bring our country back together. And the party that is creating the most division, y'all want to stand by. The fact that y'all could look at Joy Reid's light bulb head and consider her watchable, or Whoopi Goldberg's dreadhead. Let me say that again. And consider these people who are on the side of a party you want to stand with is disgusting. That man is about unity. He's about bringing our country out of the motherfucking ashes, because we are the laughing stock of the world right now. Last video I seen of the American eagle, which is a symbol of our country, the motherfucker was eaten out of a trash can. That's embarrassing. Our country's symbol is eaten out of a trash can. That motherfucker is homeless. Do you hear me? That is a leader right there. You ain't gotta like it, but you gotta respect it. You got to.
Do you ever wake up and realize your life has no purpose?
Do I have a death wish? Morgan asked. Maybe I did. I thought this would be our final run ever. We had made millions and millions of dollars, but God had other plans.
Peter Lowe, the one-time drug dealer turned pastor, along with 2 others, will be executed at 12 midnight local time.
You can be in heaven or you can be in hell. The choice is yours. I found Christ in here, and he forgave me.
My name is Peter Lowe, and I will be executed in 2 hours.
Jesus is for free, and salvation is a gift. Do you believe in Jesus?
Blue Line Moving is a veteran-owned full-service moving company dedicated to serving families across South Florida, as well as nationwide over the past 10 years. Whether it's moving furniture, organizing items, or packing your belongings, we go the extra mile to make sure it's all done right. We provide clients with an affordable and stress-free moving experience every step of the way. BlueLineMovingAndStorage.com. That's BlueLineMovingAndStorage.com. Is Whoopi Goldberg really that dumb? In a discussion of what might have motivated the killer of the CEO of the health insurance company, she actually said this.
There are things we can fool with and things we can't. Healthcare is one of those things that you shouldn't be able to fool with. And insurance companies who you pay, I pay into my insurance, you pay into your insurance. I don't understand. If I don't go to the hospital for a whole year, where's my money? Why don't you give me the money back? Then you don't have to worry about it. Because I feel like, you know, I said this, okay.
So if I don't have a car accident, I get back my insurance payments? Even worse, 41% of young voters, according to an Emerson poll, believe the assassination of the healthcare CEO was acceptable. Let's talk to LA residents about this.
Hey, Willie Nelson here, reporting from Los Angeles, where the only thing people hate more than billionaires is being without their Starbucks. Today, we're talking Luigi Mangione, the alleged United Healthcare CEO killer. Some of the radical left are calling him a hero.
Because this is like regular everyday person becoming our hero, our vigilante.
And apparently, a heartthrob.
So many women and so many men are going nuts over how good looking this killer is.
But others think he's proof that society has gone off the rails. Let's see if Law & Order still stands a chance or if the circus has taken over.
I'm not exactly sad that that CEO is dead because it's not like he was a great guy. Maybe with this CEO gone, it'll help, like, change the healthcare system.
It was a noble cause, I guess you can say, but, you know, murder's pretty extreme. But it's definitely getting a discourse going, so that's very important. A lot of Americans have been getting ripped off with the way healthcare works down here.
Something's gotta give. There's a breaking point for just about every point of friction and conflict, and in a society, in a country in which healthcare is gated behind onerous fees, ridiculous bureaucracies, and a, frankly, parasitic class of insurance go-betweens and middlemen. They're making billions of dollars. What do they expect is going to happen? The French Revolution didn't happen overnight. The guillotines were part of decades, centuries of exploitation.
He's a crook. He's been in jail for what he did.
What do you say to the people who are calling him a hero?
They should be mad at the healthcare system, not the individual that runs it.
I wouldn't call him a hero, but he's certainly opening a dialogue that's very important for our country about the craziness that's going on in our health industry in the United States and our health insurance.
What would you like to see changed?
Honestly, what I would like is a complete overhaul of the system and definitely maybe some kind of government plan.
Are there any countries whose health care you think we can model?
Maybe the British system and the Canadian system.
I think it shouldn't be settled with bullets, settled in the office, negotiations and voting. In the elections you can choose, but you cannot just whenever you decide, you just shoot anybody you don't like.
Are you satisfied with healthcare and healthcare insurance in the United States?
It's not perfect, but it's not bad.
I'm not defending him, but I can't necessarily say that. I feel like there's a huge, people are misunderstood in terms of what they need.
I feel like murdering people is not the way. Jesus wouldn't like that. I feel like healthcare is, it begins with, with yourself, with your diet and like your workout routine kind of, you know what I'm saying? So can't really blame the CEOs and all that, you know what I'm saying?
I've seen some conspiracies that the man didn't actually do it, that they're like posting on the news and stuff like that.
It sounds like more of a hit. There's no way like a CEO, I feel like, just kind of goes in that type of way. I feel like it's more of like a direct target.
I've seen some speculation online saying somehow Nancy Pelosi is connected.
I would not be surprised, because you'll be surprised yourself like what's actually happening behind the scenes and stuff.
Oh, he's obviously a drug dealer.
Why do you think he's a drug dealer?
Because people don't get whacked for nothing.
Interesting. Well, what kind of drugs do you think he was dealing?
Percocets.
I don't depict him as a hero, although I do also understand that there obviously are people who rightfully so feel that these industries don't have their best interest.
After looking at all the objective facts of the situation, he's getting a big lump of money.
Luigi speaks to a lot of people where, a lot of people are tired. People will do drastic actions when they feel it's justified.
Are you satisfied with the healthcare system in the U.S.?
No, not at all.
What are you unsatisfied with, and what would you change?
Universal healthcare is something that's very possible in this country, and if you look at the history of healthcare in the U.S., it was very much on purpose to be very for-profit and anti-consumer, for lack of a better way of putting it.
What country in particular, if you can think of one on the top of your head, do you think has an ideal model healthcare system?
Canada, for example, just across the border there.
I think it was just a malicious move. He planned that out, came from far to do what he did, and taking a life would never be a good thing to do from anyone. From any walks of life. I just don't think that was a very good thing to do.
Like they say, those guys make billions of dollars, and we pay insurance for a reason. For them to deny us, I understand where he's coming from.
That's all from Los Angeles, where the therapy dogs need therapy, and even the homeless have blue check marks. This is Willie Nelson, your man on the street.
Can't put down the perks.
They predicted Kobe Bryant's death.
Hey, this guy's wants your presence.
You've been on the naughty list, bitch.
And regarding our much maligned healthcare system, it is not true that we have a higher infant mortality rate compared to other nations. In some European countries, for example, Sally Pipes of the Pacific Research Institute notes, an infant needs to meet a certain height or weight to even be called a live birth. Other countries describe babies who die within 24 hours as miscarriages. So when you take all of that into consideration, we actually have one of the lowest infant mortality rates.
Oh, that's very different.
Same thing, by the way, with our supposed shorter life expectancy. We have more homicides, more traffic accidents, and more drug overdoses per capita, and these things have nothing to do with the quality of our healthcare system. Bottom line, Canada's single-payer system is worse, and the British national healthcare system isn't any better, which is why so many Brits use private insurance and why so many Canadians cross the border for their healthcare.
Never mind.
Now, the school shooting in Madison, Wisconsin, of course, is tragic, but it is just not true that gun violence is the leading killer for children in America.
Well, but they haven't done the studies on the vaccines.
I think if you actually wanted to know about the leading cause of killers for children, it was actually gun violence. So if you actually want to solve the problem of what makes our children unhealthy and unsafe, let's actually focus on that. Well, we don't.
You can talk about food and all of that stuff, but the idea that you're just
taking the fact that we are now vaccinating ourselves against diseases that could kill us and saying that that's causing obesity and people being unhealthy.
No, I'm saying overall health.
Autism.
The overall health.
Hold up.
The leading cause of killers for
autism.
children,
That's a
it was actually gun violence.
Now let's analyze that. Define children. Normally people think of children as maybe 10 and under, in which case more children die from swimming pool drownings, car accidents, and house fires than from gun violence. Children under her definition would include gangbangers as old as 20 years old, and many of whom would be tried as adults. Now, file this under you reap what you sow. MSNBC's Stephanie Rule says that 5 days before the election, she called Donald Trump and he answered. Try that, she said, getting Biden or Harris on the phone. But Donald Trump, while he answered, didn't exactly grant her her wish for an interview.
And I'll tell you one other example. The day after Donald Trump had that crazy rally at Madison Square Garden.
Oh, wow, yeah.
I rolled the dice, and I called him on the phone. And he answered!
Of course he did! Of course! What'd he say?
And I wasn't calling to chit-chat. I said, Mr. President, this is Stephanie Rule. You made a lot of comments last night, blah, 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 blah. And it was not an on-the-record conversation. Long story, so I'm not going to get into what he said, but I called for one reason. I said, you just said a whole bunch of public things. I'd like to sit down for an interview with you. We got 5 days before the election. So we didn't get into anything. There's nothing for me to report. I called him and said, I want an interview with you. Obviously, he said no. But my point is, I was able to get to him by dialing his phone. Right. Now, that might be completely and you're like, I can't believe people know this guy's phone number. Yeah. But the reverse of that, if I were to want to connect with VP Harris or President Biden, there's 50 people between me and that. I could write a note that maybe could get to somebody, then through Pony Express and a pigeon, something might end up in a mailbox near them. Yeah. And I called DJT to say, yo, can I have an interview?
And he
told me to go myself.
And he answered.
Myself. But I still was able to connect with him. Yeah.
But he still picked up.
Looks like Stephanie doesn't rule. The real reason drones are flying over New Jersey.
Stop it! Cut it out! I have a glandular problem.
Why isn't your bank asking what's in your heart? When big banks cancel your account because they don't like your politics, or they share your transaction data with the government, it's no wonder they don't ask what's in your heart. That's not what they care about. Old Glory Bank is different. We're the pro-America online bank that protects your privacy, security, and liberty. Started by Dr. Ben Carson, Larry Elder, and John Rich, we proudly serve customers in all 50 states. Open your account in minutes at oldglorybank.com. We stand with you.
When researching water treatment systems, I believe there is good, better, and the best system is Century H2O. It removes harmful toxins like ammonia, lead, fluoride, cyanide, chlorine, arsenic, sulfates, pesticides, pharmaceutical VOCs, and many more. Plus, Century H2O water treatment systems boost the alkalinity, oxygen, and pH of the drinking water. It's an easy under-the-sink install and is perfect for any household. A huge reassurance about Century H2O systems is that they are backed by science with extensive research from independent lab tests. All report results are on their website, centuryh2o.com. You can have peace of mind, no more concerns about the safety of your water. Best of all, a Century H2O water treatment system is less expensive than bottled water. Right now, they are giving my viewers 10% off any system by using the discount code Larry. You'll receive fast, free delivery on the best drinking water for you and your family. Order today at centuryh2o.com. I'll post a link in the comments below and use the discount code Larry for 10% off. Seriously, this drone expert says we have no idea where these drones are coming from, and worse, we have no idea what to do about it.
Well, Harris, hundreds of people from all around the world have been sending me photos and videos of these sightings, but I'm going to tell you a secret. We are not ever going to know what happened here because The U.S. government has zero clue how to handle drone threats in our airspace right now and has zero will to change anything about it. We are no longer in control of our own airspace. And it's this foreign concept to think our government doesn't know what's going on because, look, we are a powerful country, but I'm sorry to tell you, the truth is they really don't know what's going on because we no longer dominate the world in drone technology. We used to own the drone market globally. When I used Predators and Reapers, drones to hunt terrorists globally, no one made better drone technology than us, but not anymore. We're no longer in control over our airspace, and that's what these drone sightings in New Jersey are proving. The technology does exist to track this, but the reason the U.S. government doesn't have answers for you is because they don't know how to detect, deter, and mitigate drones in our own cities. They act like they have it handled, but they don't. And we've been telling senior leaders in the FAA, the FBI, DHS for years about this problem, and it's got to change. I'm so tired of the U.S. government dragging their feet on bringing our country up to speed. And look, this is I'm sending a public service announcement to Kaj Patel. I know he has a long list of things to do at the FBI and transform them, but I want him to know that the drone department in the FBI headquarters and the drone office in the FAA, they need a complete overhaul. They have put in policies that have been responsible for this confusion and setting the conditions for gaps in our own defenses. Those leaders in there, they need to be fired and start bringing in the real experts who actually can come in and bring the proper counter-drone detection technology, the electronic warfare systems, and give people the right authorization to detect this, because this is just completely getting out of hand. Even if this isn't adversarial, our enemies are watching and they're just laughing about these gaps in our drone defenses. And by the way, my sources in the industry tell me these drone incursions have been happening almost every October and December for the last 3 years. I don't know if you know about that, but about 10 months ago, a counter-drone team was contacted by local law enforcement in the region to start prepping for this October and this December. But then as it got closer, guess what? They ran into authority problems at the highest levels. They weren't given authorization to do much of anything. They were shut down from using their counter-drone detection equipment because of this authorization issue with employing sophisticated electronic warfare systems. Somebody needs to be fired in these offices. The administration, they don't want DOD, by the way, working on U.S. soil, even though DOD has the best systems in place to do this. We just focus that overseas. We don't focus that domestically. And so the current administration can fix the problem, but what they're essentially saying is they're not willing to fix it.
On the other hand...
Well, I would repeat what we've said yesterday and last night in a multiple agency statement. That we have taken a serious look at this. We have gone through 5,000 some odd sightings. We have added detection capabilities to the region. We've even sent up visual observers. And everything we're seeing to date, our assessment tells us that these are commercial drones, hobbyist drones, or law enforcement drones, all operating legally and lawfully. I mean, when people shoot video of that, Kate, I mean, you're seeing the lights on these things, the navigation lights. That's what's required if you're going to be flying in U.S. airspace at night, are navigation lights. So clearly they're being operated in a lawful and legal way, and we've seen nothing from their behavior, nothing, that tells us there's a public safety threat or a national security threat. I do want to add one point, though. We still got about 100 leads that the FBI is following up on, and if we learn something that contradicts that, or something more, something additional, something more specific, my goodness, we're going to come public and we're going to talk about it. We have been trying to be as transparent with the American people as we can. But I think it's also important to remember that there are 1 million drones registered with the FAA, and thousands upon thousands fly in U.S. airspace legally every single day, including in the Northeast Corridor. In fact, that's one of the busiest areas.
On the other hand...
Right. I mean, you have commercial drones that are... Amazon has a lot of drones, for instance. There are a lot of commercial drones in the sky, and they've worked with the FAA on, the procedures. They seem to think that most of them are American-based commercial. It's the ones over the military sites that I can't explain, and they can't either. But I can't imagine what commercial benefit it would be to operate a drone over a military base. So, I know it's speculation, but it's pretty good speculation to assume that's coming from an adversary. And I think the best target would be Communist China. They have the capability, and they've bought land around our military sites, and that would be my speculation.
So, who's minding the store? Finally, some people have way too much time on their hands.
Her brother was on the sofa eating chocolate pie. Mama was in the kitchen cutting chicken up to fry. Daddy was in the backyard rolling up a garden hose. I was on the porch with Sean and feeling up down to my toes, and we was swinging. Yes, we was swinging. Little Charlotte, she's as pretty as the angels when they sing. I can't believe I'm out here on the front porch in the swing, just a swinging.
Now, is it me, or would you love Ricky Gervais to become the next CEO of CNN?
How arrogant are you to have a laugh about it?
It's amazing how quickly this Palestinian got over his PTSD. Had to be reminded which leg to limp on. One smack, and he was healed. Now I give you, Madam Vice President.
Those lids are, because this is, well, I'm just gonna speak, okay? So this is it. So you know how those lids on the Starbucks cups, they're white, right? And so if you wear lipstick, they get all over the lid. And so then I find myself in meetings if I'm the only woman, and that's kind of, and so I keep taking the lid off and having my cup out so that I don't have that big lipstick mark on the lid. So I said, can we do something about the color of the lid? So that was that conversation.
Aww. She came back from the military, and at first her own dog didn't recognize her. But then...
Before I left for the Army, me and Murphy had never been separated for that long. The only time we'd ever been apart before that was when I went to a 5-day-long summer camp. So being gone for 8 months was really hard for both of us. I think he recognized my voice, but he didn't recognize who he saw. It just broke my heart because this dog is my world. And I was so afraid that he had forgotten me.
Hope you enjoyed We've Got a Country to Save, brought to you by my friends at InvestYRefy.com. Invest in America like I do. And by Freedom Chat. Freedom Chat has true end-to-end encryption, no storage of messages on the server, and no commercial use of user data. That way you can speak freely and message privately. Download the app today and subscribe to my Freedom Chat channel at Larry Elder for exclusive posts and never-before-seen content. We also thank Epoch Times, Old Glory Bank, Patriot Mobile, Century H2O, Blue Line Moving, and El Cholo. And be sure to like and subscribe to our podcast. Make sure to follow or subscribe to my channel on whatever platform you are using, whether X, YouTube, Facebook, or Rumble. And be sure to patronize our sponsors. And remember, we've got a country to save.
Well, the tide is finally turning, and Kamala's speech is slurring. Thank God we're saying bye to Joe. Screw the woke, screw the woke, screw the woke. And the mainstream media's dying, their viewers shaving their heads and crying. What is a woman? Well, they still don't know. Screw the woke, screw the woke, screw the woke. They tried to stop us by taking his life. But they missed, so it's fight, fight, fight. The left really thought they'd beat the right. And they fought, but they lost, thank the Lord. Now January is coming. Half of Hollywood's already running. They're finding new countries to call home. Screw the woke, screw the woke, screw the woke.